Order, call the roll.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Kella?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Roosevelt?
Here.
Mr. Strong?
Here.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, this is the duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Plan Commission for January of 2016. We originally had 3 items on the agenda, 2 of which are recommended to be tabled. The first one is the public hearing for the 24.3 acres located at 420 Rowell Avenue and a classification to I-2, which is a general industrial zoning, as well as the approval of the annexation agreement. In this case, the city has discussed some requirements that would be necessary for this to move forward within the city of Joliet. And because of that, the petitioner is requesting that a 30-day table to give him time to assess what the costs would be to comply with what the city will require. So at this point in time, he is requesting and staff is supporting a 30-day table to the February meeting.
Very good, thank you. A motion in order to table on A-1-16.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Roosevelt?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Strong?
Aye.
And then the second item up is the approval of a reclassification at 1108 and 1110 East Washington Street. And what their request is to go from an R2, which is a single-family residential zoning, to an I1 light industrial zoning. And the request by the petitioner and his attorney are that this matter be tabled because both the petitioner and the attorney were unable to come to today's meeting. They're both out of town. So it's a simple request, and so again, they are asking that this be tabled until next month's meeting.
Very good. A motion's in order for Z-1-16.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Moore?
Aye.
Mr. Roosevelt?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Strong?
Aye.
And then the only other item of activity on here is a zoning amendment case that the staff is bringing forward, Z01-16. That's a zoning ordinance amendment for section 47-12.1, permitted uses in the B2, which is the central business zoning district. Under general information, a recent proposal by a developer to utilize the vacant Union Station restaurant bar space, formerly referred to as Bar Blue, for a brew pub brought into light some vagueness within the zoning ordinance on whether this use and similar uses as microbreweries are permitted uses within the B2 Central Business District. The current code allows eating and drinking establishments but does not specifically address brew pubs and microbreweries. It has been determined that this use and similar uses are compatible with the existing uses in the B2 Central Business Zoning, and therefore it's in the best interest that the city to allow them as permitted uses. It's being recommended that Article 5, Section 47-12B2, Central Business Zoning, and Parts 47-12.1, permitted uses, be amended by adding subsection 1B7 as follows. And that would be that, reading down under the permitted uses, any generally recognized retail business service establishments or processing uses such as a comparison group, and then it would be number 7, microbrewery, brew pub, or similar enterprise. And the amended ordinance is in its entirety is attached. The land use reviewed this at their January 25th meeting and came to the findings that they're supportive of it. The Community Design Review Board met on January the 7th and reviewed it, and they are also supportive of it. And I believe that concludes our staff report.
Very good, thank you. Any comments or questions from the commission?
Yes, I have one. Jim, has this anything like this ever been brought before, up before? Not to my recollection.
No, it really hasn't, and we really have never had a brew pub proposal before us. I think what we're trying to do is err on the side of caution, because if you think about what is a brew pub, and to my way of thinking, it's a restaurant that serves alcohol. Well, that's like any other bar in the downtown. They are allowed by right. They're allowed in the B1 district. They're allowed in the B3 district. We do specifically mention them in the B3 district, but we omitted them in the B1 and in the B2. And usually, the B2, your downtown district, usually is all-encompassing. If you know, almost anything, that's the focal point, the center of all business in most communities. It should be in there. And like I say, if you interpreted it that, you know, it's a food establishment that serves alcohol, it's allowed. But just to get perfect clarity there, we're gonna put this as a allowable use in the B2
I
category.
just
but
wondered if anybody previously had tried
No.
to ascertain to get into that and,
No.
okay.
We never had, at one point in time, we did have a brewer that was looking for space in the downtown, and he was looking, not in the downtown proper, but just off, like on East Jefferson Street over in some of those warehouse buildings over by Joliet Central. And in that particular case, the guy was gonna be a production brewer, and that would have been a totally different situation. But in this case, a lot of these craft brew guys, I mean, if they don't have sales of food and the sale of alcohol as part of it, I don't know that they would be all that successful. That's what we're looking for, and this would allow for it. So,
Jim, do you have at some of these they can sell their product? Are they going to be able to still sell their beer?
I think they will. I know that the state of Illinois has a cap on how much you can sell, how much you can make
Right.
before you're considered a production brewer. And right now, the state rules are if you're a production brewer, you can't have the food and
Right.
the microbrew. There's been discussions that I've heard at the state level, like what's the difference? Let them cross those lines. But again, that's out of our jurisdiction, so we'll wait to see what happens at the state level.
Been addressed.
Yes.
Very good. Any other comments or questions?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I understand a microbrew, it's like a regular restaurant, they make their beer right there.
Yes.
And you can buy, the different flavors, so,
Yes.
I mean, what kind of limit are we talking about for consumption, I guess, how much can they sell?
I don't know what the threshold was. It was really low the last time I looked. It was quite some time ago. But I do know somebody was telling me about a case that there was a guy that opened up a craft brewery. He had one in 2 different counties, and the state was requiring him he wanted to serve his beer from one establishment at his other establishment in the other county, and that the state made him sell it to an intermediary distributor who then had to go pick it up at his one restaurant. And I guess they were doing this by the keg, not by the bottle or the case. And then they would so the distributor he'd have to sell it to the distributor, and the distributor would then have to transport it across county lines to the new location and then sell it back to him.
Oh, jeez.
And you hear stories like that, and you say, well, it's just a matter of time before the legislature says enough of this foolishness. Let's just,
I know you can sell it in a restaurant, but he'll also be allowed if somebody wants to buy a growler or something like this to take home, they can buy that also.
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
Any other comments or questions from the commission? Any comments or questions from the audience? Hearing none, then a motion's in order for ZO-1-16.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Roosevelt.
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Mr. Kella.
Aye.
Mr. Moore.
Aye.
Mr. Strong.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next up, we've got approval of the minutes from November the 19th of 2015. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And then lastly, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor signify by aye.
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 Thank you very much for coming out on such a short business day.